Our next speaker is the Chief Technology Officer of VKey, a global leader in software-based digital security. He is an experienced software development leader specializing in the design and development of security software. Prior to joining VKey, he was Senior Manager of Software Engineering at IBM Singapore Software Lab. He was instrumental in growing it from a small lab into a multi-product and cross-functional one. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome VKey Chief Technology Officer, Chiang Kai.
Hi, my name is Chiang Kai, and I'm the CTO of VKey, which is a mobile security company with a vision to secure the global digital experience. In this talk, I will share my thoughts on two-factor authentication, or 2FA in short, as well as multi-factor authentication in general. It's true that they are all meant to improve the security of user login, which is traditionally achieved by a user ID and password. We all know that a one-factor login with just a password is no longer considered secure. There's a myth that it will be okay as long as you deploy any 2FA solution. That's the myth that I'm trying to debunk, because not all 2FA are the same. First, let me talk a bit about the basics of 2FA. Authentication factors generally fall into one of three categories: something you know, something you have, and something you are. Something you know can be a secret like a password or some obscure information that you know which other people may not. Something you have can be a physical object that you carry or wear. Finally, something you are just means something about you or your behavior that can be measured, such as your fingerprint or face. 2FA or multi-factor authentication are just referring to the use of two or more of these factors when you perform authentication, so that even if one factor has been stolen or compromised by a hacker, it doesn't mean that the hacker would immediately gain access to the resource that you're trying to protect. It's interesting to note that people have come up with many interesting combinations of authentication factors. A very common combination is the use of a password, which is something you know, with a one-time password or OTP token, which is something you have. The something you have part might also be your mobile phone. I've also seen implementations where the physical token requires your fingerprint to activate it. That's actually combining something you have with something you are, which is also a good combination. However, I frowned when I encountered an implementation where two something you know factors were combined. One called the primary password and the other called the secondary password. To me, that's almost like just one password, but made twice as long. I would consider that as a secure combination. So do bear in mind that while any combination of two factors can be labeled as 2FA, it doesn't mean that they all offer you the same level of security. Now let's talk about using the phone as a something you have authentication factor. It's actually a very good idea because everyone carries a phone nowadays, and most people can't even part with the phone for more than 5 minutes. That's why SMS OTP is so popular as an authentication mechanism. It sort of proves that the phone is with you if you have received the OTP. I said sort of in inverted commas because we have all seen in the news about how SMS OTP can be hacked. Hackers have gone to the telco to convince them that they own your phone number and get hold of a SIM card that can receive your SMS. That's known as a SIM swap attack. More recently, we have also seen hackers who are even more sophisticated. They manipulated with the telco's roaming mechanism to divert SMS OTPs to their own phones. That's why we should all ditch SMS OTP now, as it can no longer safely prove that the phone is with the user. If SMS OTPs should no longer be used, how about hardware OTP tokens, you may ask? They are actually pretty secure in the sense that they make sure that the secret for generating the OTPs cannot be stolen or duplicated. However, other than being quite costly to distribute and maintain a huge inventory of OTP tokens, it's also susceptible to social engineering attacks. Imagine someone posing as a bank employee and calling an unsuspecting customer. Hey, I'm from Bank 123. We noticed some suspicious activities, and so we have frozen your account. Can you tell me the OTP displayed in your token so that I can unfreeze it? Most people who do not know much about security will simply comply with the instructions. By the way, the same thing can happen to SMS OTP as well. Let's go back to the idea of using the phone as an authentication factor. Can we do better than SMS OTP to make it secure? Yes, we can. And that's why we are seeing many banks starting to deploy software-based tokens, or soft tokens in short. Basically, a soft token is embedded inside the mobile banking app, so that the app itself either has the ability to self-generate an OTP or possesses an identity key that can be used for authentication. If the soft token can be securely bound to the phone, it will effectively turn the phone into an authentication factor. Of course, this binding process should only happen after the user's identity has been fully verified using various means, such as some form of eKYC process. Other than that, a soft token should only be considered secure if each user is given a set of unique cryptographic keys, and that these keys can somehow be isolated from the rest of the app, such that even if the app has been hacked, the keys will not be disclosed. Finally, it is also important for the soft token to be able to detect whether the app has been tampered with. For example, if some malware on the phone tampers with the UI to show that $5 is about to be transferred, when in fact, the transaction is $5,000. The soft token should be able to detect that and block the transaction. All these security features can make the soft token even more secure than a hardware token, as there's no way a hardware token can know what's happening inside the app. Other than being more secure, a soft token can also greatly improve user experience. Being embedded inside the app's logic can choose to invoke different authentication methods as and when appropriate during the user journey. It can also support authentication through push notification, QR code scanning, or even Bluetooth or NFC proximity. That's what I call embedding security within user experience with a smart 2FA solution to provide an optimal omni-channel experience. I hope I've shared has given you some insights on the variety of 2FA solutions that are available and why they are not equivalent in terms of security or user experience. Hence, it is important for you to fully understand the security implications and how you can optimize user experience before you decide on which 2FA solution to choose. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Juniman Kasman. I'm Nexusguard Chief Technology Officer. Nexusguard, we specialize in DDoS mitigation services. Before I start, I would like to thank ISOG and Tim for inviting us to this event. Tim is Nexusguard partner, and together we are building a local DDoS scarring center in Philippines to help enterprises and users in Philippines to enjoy secure and reliable internet services. Today, I would like to talk about the last year DDoS landscape and the prediction for the next year. I arranged this talk into 3 sections. Start with post-COVID DDoS attack landscape, followed by next year predictions, and end with the new Black Storm attack analysis. During the pandemic, DDoS attack grew tremendously. Compared to 2019, attacks increased by almost 370%. We also observed a lot of attacks on the March to June period. We observed attacks were aimed at online gaming industry. What more worrying is the increasing of botnet-based attacks that grew by more than 800%. The shift to work from home makes many connected devices unsecured. These unsecured devices allow bad actors to grow their botnet size more conveniently, and it means DDoS attacks are more dangerous and harder to mitigate. There are various motivations for DDoS attacks. In 2020, the most popular one is ransom DDoS. Ransom DDoS is a type of threat that uses DDoS attack to extort money by knocking websites or online services offline if ransom is not paid. Wide range of organizations were targeted during the pandemic, and top 3 targets are enterprises, followed by online gaming and gambling verticals. We observed huge amount of ransom activities in April. We believe this has correlation with organizations forced to shift to work from home as well, because most organizations were not well prepared at that time. Next, I would like to share our prediction for 2022. First predictions, we predict more attacks will go under the radar when undetected, especially for organizations that still rely on threshold and signature-based technology. And as the result, there will be more severe outages due to the DDoS attacks. Second predictions, application layer attacks will be doubled. Bad actors will adopt more intelligent bots to bypass the challenge response authentication techniques. Wide range of applications will be targeted from website, API to mobile apps. To mitigate attacks more effectively, in addition to authentication technique, organizations should adopt more advanced behavior-based technology powered by machine or deep learning intelligence. Third predictions, ransom DDoS will increase by 30%, and DDoS for higher services like stressor or booter will continue to grow. High profit online business will be targeted as they have more paying power. But we urge organizations, please do not pay for the ransom. By not paying the ransom, it will reduce the ransom DDoS attempts as bad actors are not incentivized or rewarded for the attacks. Bitcoin will remain as a main medium for the ransom payment, but might start to accept other crypto like Ethereum or alternative coins, altcoins. Fourth predictions, most attacks will be smaller than 10 gigs. Most stressor booter platform will provide 100 gigs attack services. Terabit attacks will also become more frequent. More high packet rate but small size bandwidth attacks will be carried out to evade DDoS mitigation systems. It is also because it is cheaper to launch small size compared to large bandwidth size attacks. Makes more business sense for bad actors. And for the last section, I would like to provide some insight on the new Black Storm attacks discovered by our researcher recently. It started with Blackner's ping of death DOS attacks discovered back in 2016, 5 years ago. And then we observe it's now being used in a reflective manner, creating a new type of attack, which we call reflected blackness, or R blackness in short. The larger magnitude will then generate ICMP storm effect, which then manifests into a black storm attacks. Recently, we also observe attackers are weaponizing vulnerable middle boxes and network devices to generate massive amount of traffic using R blackness combined with carpet bombing attack technique. The larger the network, the bigger the ICMP storm in the network, and might potentially causing network outages due to unpatched device crashed by the attacks. And this creates new challenges, especially for telco and large network operators. The reason why black storm attacks are concerning is because it is far more easier to generate black storm attacks compared to other reflection attacks. While other reflection attacks rely on open services like DNS, NTP, or Memcache servers, Blackstorm can basically leverage on any vulnerable devices connected to internet. We haven't observed IPv6 being exploited for Blackstorm at this moment, but we believe we will see similar problems soon. You can use this technique to verify whether your network devices are vulnerable to such attacks. In this example, we use hping to send UDP packets to non-open ports. If ICMP destination port is unreachable, is received, your device might be vulnerable for such attacks. So on the left side, you can see these the hping tools that you can download from the internet. It's open source. And on the right side, we do the packet capture. So in this example, we do the hping, send the port 1, UDP port 1 to these victim IPs, and it returns with ICMP port unreachable. And we also continue to do it on the several different ports, like in this case, we do the port 10, port 100, port 3000, and so on, and 65,000. And all these got ICMP port unreachable return message. This means these victim IPs is vulnerable. And below are the recommendation from us to deal with the threat. First recommendations, adopt deep learning detection technique that can analyze network pattern automatically. In this particular case, correlating UDP requests with ICMP response so that Blackstorm attack can be detected and mitigated immediately. Deep learning technology will also reduce false positive and false negative compared to threshold or signature-based detections. Second recommendations, access control. As old saying, prevention is better than treatment. Whenever possible, apply access control on non-open UDP or TCP ports and from trust network only. Secure the system from becoming our blackness army will prevent Blackstorm from happening in the first place. And third, perform regular vulnerability scanning to find out the problem earlier and apply the countermeasure accordingly. And by the way, you can download more details information about this type of attacks in our websites and blogs. And if you have further questions, please feel free to send us contact at Nexusguard. And that concludes my presentation today. Thanks for your time and have a good day. Thank you.